Welcome, everyone. Sorry for being late. I'm Cindy Harrison, the host of Artful Webinars and Artfully Connected and Meet the Artist. And tonight with us is the lovely Miss Paulette DiGesare. Welcome. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. These informal, just hanging out, two ladies, who love to paint and love to share their talents, and that's what it's
I
all
love the
about.
interviews. I've been watching your other interviews just because I find it so interesting.
I learned
I learn
stuff.
a lot. Yeah.
It's like I didn't know that about that person. Wow.
I know.
So it's a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed. I've wanted to do this for years, and so I really enjoy doing this. And like I said, I get to meet people too and get to know them better than like I knew who you were. To say I've never met you, I didn't know what you look like, but because we both go to net every year after year, and we look at the catalog, and your
Yeah. You
pieces were
start
offered, my
associating.
pieces were offered, so we knew we existed, but we didn't know each
Right.
other. We had never had a reason to meet, and I'm so glad we did, though. So
Yeah.
um
It's been a journey this year. It's been fun. I've
it
really
really
enjoyed
has.
it.
I've been keeping you busy.
Yes, you have. The people out there have been keeping me busy, but
Well,
that inspires me because then I just do more.
yeah, and that's all I was gonna say. It wasn't just me. I mean, everybody wants you to keep busy. So, and it is a good thing. I was saying the other day, there's that old saying about idle hands,
I know. I know.
and we do not have idle hands.
My husband's always says, "What are you doing now?
Right.
What's next?"
Who thought you could be so busy during COVID?
I know. I know. It's crazy,
But
but it's
but
been fun. I
it's
enjoy
been
it.
yeah, it's
Like
been
I
a
say, I
lot of
have to have an outlet for all of this stuff that's going on. And it's nice that I have now the time because I was really frustrated for quite, years not having the time to do it. And now I feel like I have the time and I'm filling up a lot of time with it. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
and
fun.
and that's good. That's good. Um, you've come up with a lot of designs over the past, well, I'd say year and a
Oh,
half,
I look at my
almost
files
two
and
years.
they're growing.
I think
I
it's
have a
been
lot more
almost
that, is still in the works and that people haven't even seen. So I just
yeah.
kept building an inventory. There's going to be lots of nice, different things for people to see.
I was thinking that the first one you did was around the fall of 2019.
It was about a year ago
I
because
thought,
I was supposed to do the one for White Mountain,
hmm,
and that was the blackbird and pomegranate plate, and that got postponed and postponed. So um, that was when they said, "Would you be interested in doing it via Zoom?" And here we are, Cindy Harrison.
yeah, here we are. And it's like, this is a long time coming, because I'm like, how come I didn't interview her a long time ago? Well,
I
because
know.
you've been very
We've
busy.
been busy. We were doing too
Well,
many classes.
yeah, both of us have been very busy, and it's like, okay, but
Yeah.
here we are. So I want to thank everyone who's joining us tonight for this lovely interview with Paulette. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments, and I'll relay them for you and get answers. If you are watching the replay, thank you for taking time out on watching the replay. And also, too, if you have any questions, you can post them. Make sure you put a little @ sign in front of Paulette's name or my name. Make sure that it comes up in bolder print, and that way we'll be notified that you have a question and we will get you your answer. But hey, so for first question of the evening, like we've by the way spent most of the day together already, but we're here now. I took a little hair break, but so where are you from?
Well, I live pretty much in the same area that I grew up in. Um, I was born in Ithaca, New York, because my dad was a student at Ithaca College. And then he went on to Syracuse, and we moved in Syracuse for a while when I was very young. And then I moved to Scotia, New York when I was 5, and that was his first teaching assignment, teaching job. And so that's where I started school, and I went through school all my years here. My husband is also a Scotia native, and went through the same schools. That we didn't know each other at that time. He was other class older and out of school before I came through high school at all. But our families knew each other, and it's really kind of funny because my brother-in-law I've known since I was 5 years old, because he was one of my father's students, and he used to come to the house all the time. So he's like always been like my big brother. And it wasn't until I graduated college, and my husband he's a retired dentist. He had gone, he went to school at Siena College and locally, and went on to Georgetown Dental School. And so he was away during all the time that I was going through school. And so it wasn't until we met just hanging out one time, and that's the beginning of that story. And so when I graduated college, we got married, and we only live, basically about 7 or 8 miles from where we both grew up.
So what'd you go,
So here we are.
what was your major in college?
My maiden name?
Major.
Oh, my major? I was a home ec major, because I've been sewing my own clothes since I was probably about a 7th grader. My mother was a seamstress. She loved sewing. It was always a hobby for her. And she made a lot of my clothes when I was growing up. And then I became interested, and I started sewing my own things. So I made all my own clothes during high school, and I made coats. I made everything.
Wow.
So it was kind of a natural for me to go into home economics.
So you wanted to teach others how to sew and.
Yeah, so I've been teaching a long time. I taught in high school. I taught Girl Scouts. So, I've been teaching something all my life.
All your life. That's amazing. Isn't that funny how that works out? I mean,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So
Backing up a little bit, did you come from an artistic family? I mean, you said your mom sewed.
Did. My mom is from Alabama. So I had 2 very different cultures growing up. My mom was a real deep South Southern girl. Her family goes way back to plantation owners. And so there's a lot of history there. Pre-Civil War, my great grandfather, my grandmother was a Huey, and my last name was Huey, and my grandfather was a Ham. And both of those families started the community in Perry County, Alabama. So, like I say, they have a lot of rich history in the really old, deep South. My father, on the other hand, is a first-generation immigrant. His parents both came from Czechoslovakia. He was born in this country, but he didn't speak English till he went to school, because he grew up in a community of other immigrants. And so they all spoke their native language. And so he didn't really learn English till he went to school. And my grandmother, the town that she comes from, I brought some things today because their history is so rich.
You're gonna show
He's
us?
from a little town in Moravia, Czechoslovakia, that is well known for their craftsmen and their craftsmanship. And they take a lot of pride in that. And I was shocked as I could be, because I grew up with all this stuff being around me, the beautiful embroidery and all this artwork, and which was, folk art, if you want to call it. And I was at a Capitolers meeting one day, and I was going through their library, and I came across a book of that Joe Sonia was putting out at that time, which was a quarterly magazine, Artist Journal.
Yep.
And I was flipping through and I brought the pages of the magazine because this is what I saw. It was this picture, and I almost fell over because when I started reading the article, the woman that wrote this article wrote it about the little village that my grandmother is from.
Wow.
So the pictures in the magazine, it's just, and this is a maiden. This is what their costume looks like. And if you look at the flowers, you can see there's a lot of flowers that I use because these are all very traditional designs. My grandmother started teaching me these designs when I was very young, probably, 7, 8, 9 years old, just drawing them on paper and coloring them.
Wow.
So, but the history is so rich, and this is just some close-ups of some of the embroidery and stuff that they use. And you can see the shapes of the flowers and the leaves. You can see how that reflects in my artwork. And here's their houses. Everything they do is decorated.
Wow.
Their doorways and interior walls of their houses. They use a lot of the black and white check designs to border things with, but you can see the traditional hearts. And here's the costumes. And this is kind of interesting because here's the eggs, and I'll show you some of the eggs that my grandmother taught me to do. These are scratched eggs. A lot of people do the Pasanki eggs, which are done with wax.
Right.
These are not. These are dyed completely, and then they're scratched off so that the eggshell comes back through the white.
Wow.
So, and this, some of their costuming, and their village, each village has their own little signature costume. So when I saw that picture, I knew right away. And this is a ceremony, and I witnessed this ceremony. When my grandmother's generation, we went to a wedding, and it was the last time that all of that generation were kind of together. After that, one by one, they started dying off. And the bride that day, they did this ceremony where they remove her veil and remove her cap, and they put a shorter veil on her, and it's the sign now that she's now no longer a miss, she's a matron. And they sing this song, and they all gather around her and remove her bridal veil and put this other shorter veil on her. And this is a picture of them doing this in the town. And so I witnessed this when I was probably in high school, and it was probably the last time that was done that I know of in my family. And
can you tell us which artist journal that was in?
pardon?
Do you know which artist journal that was in?
This, I don't know which issue. Maybe it's on here. Oh, Artist Journal, let's see. I don't know, but I can find out. And
That's cool. I thought you were going to.
There weren't that many. She didn't publish this that long. It wasn't that many years that she did this, but it was really strange because I saw this picture, and I'll show you why I was so shocked, because this is my doll.
Oh, look at that.
And this is the same outfit, if you can see, with the red skirt. And this is the same exact replica.
Wow.
So I was just so taken back that when I saw that this article was about this village, because it's a little tiny place,
So when you figure that out, maybe you can come back and put it in the comments so that people can know.
Yes. But they do, this is some of my grandmother's embroidery I found, and they take such pride in their stuff. This is a piece that she embroidered.
Wow.
And you can see it's got the cut work in it, and you can see the back looks as good as the front.
Wow.
So she's actually signed it.
Oh, nice.
Over here. So, their themes are repeated. Their colors are nice and bright. Here's, of course, the black background is a very common. They love the black, you see that a lot in Russian folk art as well. But you can see the flowers, how recognizable they are.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
this is where I get a lot of my, this is where it comes from.
So when did you turn that into painting? When did you start painting?
Well, it was funny because I never painted. I had this background where I drew, and I don't know what I did with the eggs. I have the eggs here somewhere. I I drew and colored with colored pencil and different things, but I never painted ever. I never used paint as a medium. And it wasn't until my daughter was born and I was, needed a night out or something to do. And it's just something to get back with people and whatever. And they offered a class at the local craft shop, and I saw the piece, and it was a simple Joe Sonia design on a piece of wood, and I just said, oh, I mean, it had that Slovak kind of flavor to it. I thought, oh, I want to do that, and so I started taking the class, and I also took the Priscilla Hauser. Janet Snell, a lot of you people have taken classes from her and know her. She taught the class, and she also did the Priscilla Hauser oils, and that's what I started with.
Oils?
And I found this the other day. This was my first, one of my first pieces ever with oils.
That looks great for a first piece. That's awesome.
This is my first attempt with oils, but I had fun. I had fun doing it. I loved it. But the only thing I didn't like about the oils was the drying time. To me, it just wasn't fast enough for me. So when the acrylics came out, which was right about this time, the jar acrylics, Delta, and they didn't have a lot of colors at that time. But, as things caught on, and Jo Sonia was publishing her books, and when I first saw those books, I was in heaven, because I said, this is it. This is my background. This is what I'm used to seeing. This is what I want to do. And when I saw on furniture and, useful items, which is, a lot of the Slovak and Czech people, that's on useful items, utensils, bowls, things that you use every day. That's what I wanted to do. So when I got into it, I took a couple of classes, and as soon as I got used to the medium as far as acrylics were concerned, I just started doing things on my own, and that's where it started. And once I got doing things on my own, then I got asked to teach at a shop back in Scotia, and I taught their beginner classes.
So how much time was there between you finding
Well, I
your
started
love for
in
painting and then teaching it?
I started painting in 1979 or 80, somewhere in there. And I started teaching, I would say, about 1985, maybe 84, 85, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you did it around the local shops, and
yeah.
so
And
when
I did a lot of things for Capitolers, where they had needed ornaments for, design for a fundraiser, or some project that was for net, or some, net wasn't happening at that time. That didn't happen until later, but
right.
Things that happened in the chapter that they wanted to do for community service.
So
I
when you started teaching, did you immediately already teach your own designs, or were you teaching other people's designs?
I started out teaching other people's designs, but it wasn't very long that I was doing both. I was teaching other people's things, and then I was also starting or beginning to do some of my own things at that time, because I was even experimenting with cutting some wood pieces and doing that kind of stuff too. But I never did craft fairs. I always just really enjoyed the teaching part.
So did you you went to school to be a home ec teacher, but then you never became a home ec teacher.
No, when I graduated, there happened to be a very big glut of teachers and too many teachers and not enough positions. And they were actually, in my area, they were closing schools because our population had gone down. We had had some, like GE, which is a big employer here, was cutting back and they were closing parts of the plant. And here we went from 7 days a week, 3 shifts a day to, cutting out 15,000 employees. And Alco also closed at that time, which was American Locomotive, which employed another huge bunch of people. So there was a big exodus out of this area for some time. And in fact, they closed 2 of our elementary schools because of that.
Wow.
That were completely shut down. And they were closed for quite a few years. They've reopened them now. Now they use them again because our population has increased. But there were, out of 7 schools, they closed 2. So I actually did work for the county for a while. I substituted, and then I did some teaching for the county as on an assignment basis or a part-time basis. And then I actually worked in a fabric and yarn. I was a manager of a department in a department store, which I loved because I got to knit and crochet all day and have fun.
And get discounts too, right?
It was fun. Yeah, and I got to teach. People used to come in, I can't get this pattern to lay out, so, we would help them with their stuff. And then in the meantime, my husband and I had built a house and things were just getting very bad at work. We had some really incompetent people that I had to deal with. And I said, time to go. So I quit and I stayed home. And that's when I had my family.
Okay. So like after, I know some of the teachers, it's like after their firstborn or whatever, that's when you decided you had to do something and you found painting. Yeah. So what is your favorite? I know the answer probably, but what would you say is your favorite subject matter? You do a lot. You do a variety of things.
Oh, flowers and birds. You're going to see flowers and birds a lot coming from me.
Everywhere. I know. I knew that was going to happen.
But, if you look at all of this Russian art and you look at all those themes and you look at it and you think, how many more ways can people do a bird? But you know what? It's a very strong theme that's overused over and over and over. And I would say the only slant is that I treat it differently in that is the colors, because I like all those bright colors, but sometimes they're just way too much. I like to experiment with color. I love color, and but I like certain, of course I lean towards certain colors.
I know one of the questions from the ladies in the audience, which by the way, thank you everyone for being here. And that one of the question was, where do you get your terrific sense of color from?
I don't know where that comes from, because that I just, when I paint, and I've told you this before, when I don't do a line drawing ahead of time on a piece. When I get an idea for a painting, I paint it on something. I start right away. I may chalk out the very first elements that I want, that are the strongest in my head as to what I want to do. And then it grows from there. So as I paint that, I may, add things with chalk, and I continue to develop the design. After I've developed the design and done all the colors, then I draw my pattern. So my pattern is an accurate rendition of what I just painted. A lot of people do all the line drawing and the designing work first, and then they figure out what they're going to do. I start right away, because when I get an idea about something, what really sparks me may just be a color combination. So I might just get an idea about a color combination, and that's where it starts.
Cool.
It's how the colors work together.
So, okay, so even before that, I mean, how do you come up with these designs? So you're saying the color combination might inspire you. How is it, how do you know what you're going to apply that to? I mean, how do you come up with this design?
I can't really, I don't know.
No?
I start on something and I'll just get an idea and I'll start in my head, I'll just start kind of putting ideas and things together so that when I finally get it to the thought, maybe so, well, I like this, but I don't like that. Or, another thing that will inspire me I'll see something, it'll be the movement in a design. It'll be the way the design flows. And I'll have that as a starting point in my head. And that's what will begin the process. So it can either be the color or it can be the kind of the idea I have of the flow of the design itself. Because if you look at a lot of, especially these traditional designs, you'll see that the flowers, they start from a stem and they flow outward from a point. And that's kind of how it develops. Like when I start an egg, I don't even have an idea where it's going to go. I start with a flower, and from there, it grows from there. Or I may divide the egg in half or in quarters, and do each section. But the design has to flow. The design it trails. It's things are connected, and so that's, if you notice, like the things that I do, the stems, they have a direction, and the leaves have a direction, and everything has to blend.
So we have a Suzanne Anderson, you know her. She says, ask you about your daughter's wedding dress, which I already know the story, but tell us about your daughter's wedding dress.
Well, she, years ago when I painted, I had books, and I had a book from one of my painting books, and it was can't even think now who it was, but there was a painted wedding dress in there. My daughter said, she was probably 8 or 9 years old. She goes, "Mommy, you're going to paint my dress, right?" I go, "Oh yeah, okay." So, many years passed and my daughter's engaged, and she says to me, "You're going to paint my wedding dress, right?" So I said, "All right, okay." But we went shopping for a wedding dress, and we said to the lady at the store, we want a dress with nothing on it. We don't want beads, we don't want pearls, and how many dresses do you see like that? Never. But she was really good, and she listened to us, and she actually came up with a dress that had nothing, no trim, it was a beautiful, elegant, simple dress. But the only thing is I was eventually, I thought I was going to do the train, but this dress, there was no train because it opened in the front. It had a tulip skirt with like an underlay. And so I said, well, we can switch gears. It was gorgeous. And I said, we can do this, I'll just do the front. So we ended up buying the dress. And then I set to work on figuring out what I was going to do. And what I ended up doing was I can show you a picture where the skirt overlapped in the front. There was an opening, and it was kind of offset on the side. And I ended up making a pattern of that underskirt and sketching where that opening was, so I knew how much area I had to fill. And I bought a piece of moire taffeta, and I was able to sketch out my design to fit that opening. And I was actually it was literally nice because I didn't have to trace the design. I was actually able to see through the moire taffeta, and I didn't, with my line drawing, and I didn't have to actually mark it on the dress. Cool. So I just taped it all together, pinned it all together, and was able to paint right on the dress from my line drawing that I had made. So I did that.
But you didn't paint directly on the dress, right? You painted on.
No, I painted on this piece of fabric, and then we inserted it in the, we just took it and put it inside. I got a picture right here. I'll show you. Let me just grab it.
That's pretty cool. So again, thank you all for being here and watching us, listening to Paulette's journey. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments section. I will relay them for you. I can't wait for you guys to see this dress. It was gorgeous. Those that haven't seen it yet.
Sorry for that little exit, but I have the picture here. I can show you. This was the dress.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was, this is a close-up of the design.
Oh, all roses.
It was strawberries and roses.
Oh.
And so then I got a little carried away.
Oh.
And I did her shoes. That's the heels of her shoes.
Oh, nice. Is that your headpiece?
And that's her headpiece.
Oh, wow.
And then I did a bride's box with this, all with the same theme. This is the lid.
Did she like roses? Was that her favorite?
Well, this was peach. It had to be peach.
Mhm.
And let's see what else I have here. Oh, and then I did. I was driving in the garage before the shower. It was probably about 2 weeks before. We were making the plans for the shower, and I have a set in my living room of like a little tea table with 2 little matching chairs that I bought at Salvation Army, and I painted the backs, and it's like a little settee thing, and it's really cute. And I said, would you maybe I'll use one of those painted chairs for the bride's chair, for the shower. And my daughter looks at me, she goes, can I keep it? And I said, no. You're not going to spoil my set. It's a pair. You can't take one. So I had picked up, at the same time we had gotten those chairs, I had picked up a chair at Salvation Army, and it was in my garage. And about 2 weeks before the shower, I go, I wonder if I can get that chair done. So it was a pressed back chair. So I ended up doing this chair to match. So she had a bride's chair. And I did antique hankies. I had a very dear friend who had passed away and was very close to our family. And she gave me hankies. So that was her something old. Was her antique hanky.
So she got to keep that chair?
Pardon?
She got to keep that chair?
Yes, she got to keep that chair. So, and then I did her invitation to match as well. So everything coordinated. I ended up painting an original for the invitation, which I printed on here.
Oh, nice.
And then did our overlay.
So you painted one and then had copies.
Yeah, I printed it at my print shop.
Nice.
And then did her invitations.
So it's like her dress, the cutout.
Yeah, it was the same cutout, and I embossed these by hand. This one is not, but
oh wow!
All these are hand embossed with a swirl on the front.
So how long did you work at the print shop?
I had that for just shy of 20 years.
Oh wow!
And we opened it right at the end of 1989. And I kind of don't count 89 because it was such a rough start. We opened our shop and there was a phone strike.
Oh no. So
we couldn't get a telephone. We couldn't, it was really kind of a crazy time. But so 1990, and I had that until we were still operating that until 2000. End of 2008, 2009. And and we were actually, it was my brother and I basically worked the business. And I just said to him, I'm getting tired of this. This is, no vacations and no, no relief from this, not being able to go anywhere. Because, you couldn't take time off because you put the other person in a real bind.
Right.
So, we had a couple of employees, but it still was very difficult to operate. We didn't have that many employees. So I finally said, let's do something. So another print shop actually absorbed our business.
Oh, okay.
So I actually went to work for them, which was great because I could walk out the door. I was doing the same thing I did when I operated my business, but I was able to walk out the door every night and say, see ya.
Yeah, right.
And be able to have vacation and, not have to have any of the worry. So I did that. And I was still working there part-time until COVID hit. So I was still there 2 to 3 days a week until last March.
Wow. Wow.
So, and then I just, I was the only one there over 65. And we had people that weren't wearing masks and had been to Florida and hadn't quarantined and had gone on an airplane and hadn't quarantined and came to work on Monday. And this is somebody I had to share a phone with and a computer. And I said,
No.
I'm going to stay home.
Yeah.
So,
so
that's when I started painting.
That's, yeah. And you're more than busy. So
Yeah.
So what would you say is your favorite medium?
Oh, my favorite medium. Oh, absolutely. I basically all acrylic, basically that's all I work with. I did oils and I love the look of oils, but I'm just way too impatient. I just can't wait 6 weeks for something to dry. I'm sorry. I tried dryers. I tried, all kinds of mixing with the paints and whatever, but it wasn't for me. I love it. I've taken class on oils and I love the fact you could sit there and fix things and dab things all day long, but I like finished products. I like to be able to do something and be able to varnish it and give it away if I want to. I just, move on to something else.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Do you have a favorite technique?
Technique? Well, most of my things that I do are pretty basic. Using my floating and highlighting and, using those basic methods. And I think that's what, a lot of my designs are quite intricate, but I don't think they're super difficult because I think they still use they appeal to a lot of people because they still use those basic things that we're all trying to master, and it gives people good results. So, and it gives me opportunity to coach people on still perfecting those because there's still a lot to perfect in those techniques. I would love to do more experimenting with backgrounds because I think that there are some great products now and new products and so many different effects that you can get. So I think, that really appeals to me to be able to do some experimentation with that and some of the new products that DecoArt has out. And I've done some things with their metallics, which I love. And, but there's some really new background things that I haven't really had the time to experiment with that I'd like to try.
Oh, we'll have to give you a vacation at some point.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Right.
But I have so many things that I want to do and so many ideas. I'm just trying to get those out of me right now. And so.
Exactly. Nancy wants to know what are your favorite brushes to use, the brand, and as well as flats, rounds, and angles?
I
have
don't.
A favorite brush? Do you have a favorite brand?
I've tried the Joe Sonia ones. I love them. And there's some ones of Chris Hoey's that I've tried. And I think the black gold ones I've tried the ones that I've tried, I like. I wish I had more exposure to good brushes, but I don't. And other than ordering them online, if somebody out there in the brush world wants to send me some to play with, I'd love it. But I don't buy any.
Do you tend to use angles? I know, like.
Oh yeah,
today
angled
there's a lot
flats.
of
And I'll tell
angles.
you, I use regular flats. You know, when I first started painting, that was what we had. And it wasn't until I would say I was teaching when the angled flats kind of came out. And I tried one and I go, oh my goodness, this was the answer to getting into those spaces with a float without destroying, you know, trying to make a corner and, you know, so that you didn't destroy the float you did before. It was like heaven sent, you know, for trying to do floating as far as that goes and trying to get in small little places. And it made such a difference in the results of, in the frustration level in trying to, you know, get something that looked halfway decent. So the angled flats, that's, and I tell you, I don't use a lot of brushes. And if you look at any of my things, I always say I use from my everyday collection, which is a couple different sizes of angled flats. I use a couple different sizes of rounds, and usually I use rounds for base coating because you can spread the paint. It gives you a nice smooth spreading of the paint without making ridges because you don't want ridges in your base coats. And a lot of times when you try to do it with a flat, it leaves you those, it pushes the paint out to the edge and you get those edges. You don't want that. So I've been resorting to using rounds for base coating. And then I have really good detail brushes because I love details. I get into the really nitty gritties of details. So I like, you know, good liners, good, really fine detail brushes. And I have a couple of big wash brushes, and that's about once in a while I'll use a filbert. Once in a while I'll use a, you know, a deerfoot scrubby or something, but most of the time it's those basic things.
Cool. Okay. So what is your best tip to give a student?
Best tip? I don't know. I find when I work with people on an individual basis, I still find that a lot of people still have difficulty loading the brush properly. And I say loading the brush properly on your palette is going to give you the best results. If you try to, if you know, don't take the time to load that brush, and you can see what, because you can see what the brush is going to give you before you ever go to your project with it, if you have it loaded properly. And you can see already over here where the paint is, so that when you go over to your project, it's going to deliver for you. And I think if people don't take the time to load that brush properly, then, you know, you got strikes against you before you start. And then when I work a lot, when I work with people on an individual basis, that's what I find that's where they need the most help with.
I see. Yeah, Barb Watson once told me, if you fail to prepare to fail.
That's right.
So that's what
right.
you just said. So
that's absolutely correct.
Yep. So is there a medium, a subject, or a technique that you would like to try that you haven't tried yet? And I know you mentioned backgrounds and the new.
Yeah, there's lots of new things with backgrounds I'd love to do. I love using the mixed media, the stencils too. I think there's some great effects that you can do with that. I don't like too much of that because sometimes I think it's a little distracting from, you know, what's going on in the picture. It has to complement the picture, add to it. It can't steal the show. Let's put it that way. Right. So, you know, you have to be careful with how you're using those background stencils and what you're doing with them. But like I say, I think that's the most fun part, is being able to experiment with some of those things. I love the look of watercolor, but you know, at this point, I don't do it just because I don't want to get into another whole set of supplies. You know, it's just like I can make my acrylics sometimes work as a watercolor type technique if I want. But for me to get into watercolor, I just love the look of, good watercolor, but it's not something I want to, when I don't have a place. I
Right,
got enough stuff.
exactly.
I mean, at this point in my life, I don't need any more stuff.
So do you have other hobbies though that aren't paint related?
Oh, I sew, I knit, I crochet, I do all that stuff. I make baby blankets and I sew for my granddaughters and I make clothes. I've made bedspreads, I've made lined drapes. There's nothing, I made men's sport jackets. I've snowmobile suits. I've done it all.
Oh,
But
wow.
I this really have taken a backseat to my painting because I look at the time and effort goes into clothing today. You can buy stuff cheaper than, fabric and stuff has just gotten really way out of whack. I went to buy a couple patterns one day and for my granddaughter and they told me it was $50 and I go, what?
They used to be $1.99 or
Oh yeah, $1.50, 50 cents. I mean,
yeah.
I had file cabinets full of patterns, 4 full drawers of nothing but patterns. I used to, and a lot of that stuff stayed the same. And it was a basic pattern. You could change it to do whatever you wanted to do. I made toys. I've made stuffed animals. I've made, I've made it all. There's not too much I haven't sewn.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I always thought, oh, I buy a new Bernina, I want to treat myself, buy myself a new Bernina. And after sewing all this time, that would be, kind of a treat. And it's funny when my daughter got married, my second daughter got married in 2014, the lady that she had do her alterations on her dress, I walked into her house and we went down into her basement. She has a split level home where her shop was in the basement, lower level of the house.
Yep.
And I walked into her sewing room and she had my exact same sewing machine. And I said, well, if you can do what you do, then I don't need a new machine. And you've had it as long as I have.
That's
so we found out we had graduated at the same time and, we bought our sewing machines at the same time. And she was still using hers. So I thought, well.
So do you have the projects there that you're teaching for our webinars?
Do I have the project I'm today, the one we did?
No, you've got a repeat class on that one, but any of them.
Oh, I have
that are coming up.
Yeah, I have the Christmas one that we're going to do here. This is going to be the Christmas version of, we did the summer one. We taught this one already. And this is going to be the winter one.
It's so neat.
And then there's a spring one.
Is the crock crackled?
Pardon?
Is the crock crackled?
Is the crock crackled? No.
But you make it look crackled. Oh, it's a design.
It's a design. It's a deer on there.
Oh, cool. Oh, neat. Okay.
So it's got candy canes and sugar cookies and fruit.
Nice. And the pineapple.
Really and the pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people have the beehive. Now we got the pineapple.
Cool.
So that's that. And I will be teaching this. This is going to be coming up as a
webinar,
Zoom class, but this is for Capitolers.
Nice.
This is going to be coming up in November, but it will be a Zoom. So if people are interested in signing up for that, it will be advertised, I'm sure, on Toll Painters Unite and some of the other sites.
No birds?
You don't see the glitter, but there's lots of glitter.
No birds?
No birds. Oh no, there's 2 little birds up here.
Somewhere.
A little bird there, and there's a little bird there.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah.
Tiny.
See, they got a bird.
So, Nancy, did you get to study with those that we knew and loved who are no longer with us in our painting world? I'm not sure who particularly is she referring to. I don't know.
I don't think I heard you.
the question is, did you get to study with those that we knew and loved who are no longer with us in our
Oh,
painting?
I did study with Helen Barrick once. Bob Embry. I took a class with Bob Embry years ago. So I didn't get a lot of time to take seminars at that time in my life. So I did. There were some other people that came to Capitolers that I was able to participate in, but I was never able to travel to go to a seminar or go to conventions. So I didn't go to. I didn't get to study with a lot of the. It's a joke call. Study with a lot of the,
The
big brushes that people
right?
took from at conventions.
Cool. So let's see. Where's the question? Oh, Jeannie wants to know, do you have videos that they can watch? So do you have video tutorials anywhere online or?
No,
Nope.
I don't have any YouTube, or I don't have a website.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the only way you can purchase my patterns is from my Facebook page is the way to contact me, which is Paulette DiGesare Decorative Painter. And if you go to the section that shows photos, you'll see a gallery of a lot of different things that I've done. Some of them were personal projects, some were gifts, one of a kind. But then you'll see, I have to update it because now that I've got computer back, I need to update it with my upcoming webinars, information, and other Zoom classes that I'll be doing, and pattern packets for sale, because I have more that I will be posting that I have not put on there because, just ones that I have accumulated now that are now ready to be purchased in a packet.
Okay. So let's see what other questions, which by the way, thank you everyone for asking these wonderful questions. Okay. Would you consider teaching a design on fabric throw pillow covers?
On fabric?
Yeah. Do like a pillow cover?
Oh, sure. I have painted on fabric. I've done quite a bit of painting on fabric.
So we'll put that on your to-do list for 2022.
Yeah, I love painting on fabric, and I really haven't even tried any of the So Soft. The ones like when I painted on the wedding gown, I used regular acrylics and I just used fabric medium, and it worked out perfectly fine.
So,
And so I have done some pillows and things that I have done, like some scenes. I did a winter scene on a pillow. So I have some of those, a few of those that I've done, and I've painted things for people for gifts.
so Suzanne is asking, are you right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Ah, because she goes, it seems your patterns have a left-hand tilt to them.
Oh, really?
That's what she says. I don't know.
I have to know. I have never noticed. I'll have to take a look at that.
I wouldn't know what to look for there.
Maybe one side of my, they say one side of your brain's stronger than the other. Maybe that's the case.
Oh, who knows, right?
Who knows?
Jean says, I have a pattern. It would be nice to see you once again. Jeannie Marshall. Does that make sense? Do you know her? Anyways, she said it would be nice to see you again.
What was the name?
Jeannie, or Jeanne Marshall.
Oh, I don't know where.
Sorry if she doesn't remember you, but when she sees you, she'll remember you.
I was gonna say I remember faces better than I remember.
Yeah, me too. I can recognize faces a lot faster.
I know so many, but names. I have so many names flying into my life every day on stuff. Oh my God, I can't remember. I don't know if anybody got their new decorative painter, but mine came, and this was our peacock class that we taught.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And this lady right here, Heather, was one of our students in my class. Okay, and she lives near Buffalo, I guess. And this is her daughter. And her daughter lives on the West Coast,
Yeah, Andrea Garvey.
Andrea Garvey, and she does a lot of inspirational type painting. This is some of her pieces. And she saw her mother, and they were going back and forth with Zoom, and she saw this piece that her mother painted. It was my class, and she just loved it because she loved all the colors. And so she contacted me and she said, do you mind if I use that as a basis for one of my designs? So I said, no, I'd love to see it. So she did her version of it, which is here, her with her in this photo. And here's a bigger picture of it right there.
Cool.
So it was listed in the inspiration corner this month in the decorative painter. I thought that was kind of cool because it was one of our classes.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. So people have said beautiful things, love your artwork, and so they hope that they can catch a class with you someday. And so check out artfulwebinars.com. There's lots of classes there, and the Capitolers have, don't they have a website, or they have a?
I believe they do, but she's advertising it on, I think, on the painting
Facebook.
sites like Toll Painters Unite and
Yeah. So
and some
check
of the
that
others.
out and find someone from Capitolers. And yeah, so thank you so much for a wonderful evening. And, you know, I love hanging out with you anyway, so that's no brainer there.
Well, there'll be some new things coming, and I think we'll have a really exciting year in 2022.
I do too, and I look forward to it immensely. So if anyone
I love all the students. I love meeting all the people via Zoom. You know, everybody that knew me, you know, from New England convention, that's, you know, I've only taught there for a few years. So, you know, it's a very short period of time that people have, and if it weren't for Zoom, people wouldn't know me across the country. So it's really been fun. It's been quite a journey for me. I'm meeting people from Washington and California and Texas and Wyoming and all over. And
all over.
Getting wonderful emails from people. The painting world is such a warm, friendly group. It's just been marvelous. It's been fun.
Mary Frances, you're funny. She goes, I'm still waiting for the fox and hare piece to show.
I know she is. You know, it's being reworked right now. So
we have it, but we had to table it for 2022 because Paulette's designs were so popular this summer that we've asked her to repeat those classes. So we had to postpone the fox and the hare so that we could do the repeat on the one she's doing.
I know.
But it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. I wanted to show you
patterns. You can go to her business page on Facebook, Paulette DiGesare Decorative Artist, and you can message her or whatever there.
Or my email. You can contact me via email. If you want to order patterns, I prefer that you email me.
So what's the email address?
It's phdpainter@live.com.
So let's see. PhDpainter. Ooh, painter at
live, live.com.
There you go. So you can check that out. Go to that email after you see the pictures or photos on the Facebook page and you want a pattern, just email her.
And like I say, that'll be updated soon now that I've got some of my computer issues resolved. Not all of them, but some of them. At least I have a computer now.
So we would like you to again educate us on the pronunciation of your last name.
DiGesare.
DiGesare.
Like DiGiorno, the pizza.
Which is yummy, by the way.
It may help you remember it that way.
So DiGesare.
Okay. It's Italian.
Yep. Love it. Okay, so let's see. On her Facebook page under photos. Oh, goody, can't wait. How can we buy the patterns? I already answered that one. great interview. Thank you. Interesting meet and greet. Nice to have met you on here. So, yep. So there's a whole bunch. If I missed a question, I'm sorry. Much fun painting them. So someone, Mary Frances says she loves your designs and she has much fun painting them. So thank you so much.
Well, I enjoy that people enjoy them. And I think that's, you know, you have to love the piece before you can even get into it. So,
And we know we can see the love in your pieces, in your designs. We definitely feel that that
you know,
love.
and if you have interesting colors to work with, it just makes things that much better.
Love the colors. Love the colors. Yeah, definitely. So if anyone has any questions, you can always, like I said, put a little @ sign in front of her name or my name to let us know that there's a question there. Or
If
just
anybody has any questions, they can always email me directly.
email her directly, and that's fine too. So check it out. Her Paulette DiGesare Decorative Painter Facebook business page. So go check that out and watch artfulwebinars.com, and you'll be seeing more from her. Sign up for our newsletter. Whenever her classes open up for registration, you'll be notified that they did, and you're going to have to really be quick on them because they sell out real fast.
Yes, thank you.
So check that out. Thank you so much, Paulette, for
You're
another
very
wonderful.
welcome. Thank you for having me as a guest. And I love, love being able to make contact with people. And so anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can always reach out to me, message me, or email me with
Definitely.
specific questions about a piece or my work. So
Yeah,
happy painting, everybody.
and this was recorded, so you can watch the replay after we close this down. So the replay will come back up, and you can find it under announcements for the next week, and then I replace it with something else. So go check it out. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Paulette.
Bye-bye now. Thank you.